Real cold. I'll try to hustle through the speech for you. Nice and cold out here. Mayor Baker, thank you. Honored to be here today speaking with you, but also in the company of two veterans up here to continue their service in many ways to the citizens of Illinois. Our Secretary of State, Jesse White, and Medal of Honor recipient, Lieutenant Colonel Hal Fritz. Big round of applause for them, please. Two Americans. See if you know their names. Ken Taylor and George Welch. And something called the Halewa Scramble. We'll come back to these Americans shortly, but to understand who they are and what they did is a peek into the American warrior ethos. More on them a little bit later. The American veteran. From the birth of this country to the ongoing war in Afghanistan, the war on terror, and around the world, we continue the great tradition of our American warriors. When they retire or return from service, we call them veterans, as they are defined by our government. We are creating a whole new crop of veterans within our country. They are the ones who stand up for your liberties and your freedom, and are sworn to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Many of you here today have taken that oath and understand what I am talking about. Many of you are citizens who clearly understand your constitutional responsibilities. Americans sometimes take for granted the freedoms we enjoy. They were won on the battlefield against our enemies and those who seek to destroy us from within. America over time has proved herself to be resilient and bounce back from whatever adversity faces her. America does not sit back and wait for her freedoms to be assailed or taken away. Ever wonder where that spirit comes from? Open a history book and learn a little bit about the struggle for freedom and liberty. I think you will find there's a spirit that makes us tick. In one of George Patton's famous speeches, he said that Americans traditionally love to fight. They love the sting of battle, and it reigns true when our freedoms are attacked. September 11th, 2001 comes to mind. We must not fail, and we will not fail. We do what is right. My thanks to all the veterans and citizens who help keep that spirit alive. And I can tell you, I'm the luckiest commander I know. I serve with great Americans at the 182nd Airlift Wing, and not only are they citizen airmen who serve the community and the state of Illinois, they serve the nation proudly as volunteers. We're deployed all over the world doing the nation's work. And I have personnel coming and going all the time to Afghanistan. Let me mention one of our missions that our veterans accomplished. Can you imagine rising or flying through a valley with peaks 4,000 feet on either side of you in the weather, not being able to see them, and being able to drop supplies and critical food, ammunition to the Army troops on the ground who are in a live or die fight? Well, they hit it. Blindly, they hit it. 100-foot by 190-foot drop zone. Absolutely incredible for our citizen airmen. Now, let me leave you with another example of American fighting spirit from December 7th, 1941. I'm going back to Ken Taylor and George Welch, and that would be Second Lieutenant Welch and Second Lieutenant Taylor. Prior to the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, Taylor spent the night playing poker and dancing in the officers' club with the ladies at Wheeler with fellow pilot George Welch. And they didn't go to sleep till 6:30 a.m., so they were about way past their curfew. Taylor and Welch awoke less than an hour and a half later at 7:55 a.m. to hear the sound of low-flying planes, machine gun fire, and explosions. Lieutenant Taylor quickly put on his tuxedo pants from the night before and called Halewa Auxiliary Airfield, where 18 P-40 fighters were located. Without orders, he told the ground crews to get 2 P-40 fighters armed and ready for takeoff. If you watch the movie Tora Tora Tora, they kind of played that out. His new Buick was strafed by Japanese aircraft as the two pilots sped 10 miles to Halewa, at times reaching speeds of over 100 miles an hour. At the airstrip, they climbed into their P-40 Warhawk fighters, but they only had 30 caliber ammunition on board. After they took off, they headed towards Barber's Point, southwest tip of Oahu, and initially saw an unarmed group of American B-17 Flying Fortresses who were arriving from the United States. They soon arrived over the Eva Mast mooring field, which was being strafed by Kate torpedo dive bombers on the second Japanese wave attack. Although the two pilots were outnumbered 6-1, they began firing on the bombers. Taylor shot down 2 of the bombers and was able to damage another before running out of ammunition. The third damaged aircraft was considered Taylor's third probable kill. When both pilots had run out of ammo, they headed for Wheeler Field to get additional .50 caliber ammo, and since Halawa didn't carry any. And as he landed around 8:40, several of the officers told him, "Don't go back up there." But the two pilots were able to get back in their airplanes and keep fighting. While his other airplane was being reloaded with .50 caliber ammunition, the dive bomber strafed Wheeler, and Welch took off again right into the fray. The men who were loading ammunition on Taylor's airplane left the ammo boxes on the wing as they scattered to get away from the bombers. Taylor took off, jumping over an armament dolly, and the ammo boxes fell off the plane's wing. That's not what we pilots like to have happen, is things falling off of our wings. So they headed directly towards the bombers, and additionally, if low-flying bombers attempted to fire at the P-40s at their current elevation, they would risk crashing. Taylor took off, performed what was called a chandelle, and rolled in behind him and began shooting. And due to the combination's cloud and smoke, he unintentionally went right into the middle of the Japanese formation. He was hit by enemy gunfire, and later his wingman rolled in and took down the other aircraft. The attacking Zero and the rest of the formation left to return to the carriers as Taylor and Welch were in the formation. Taylor continued to fire on several enemy aircraft until he ran out of ammunition, and the pilots headed back to Halawa. Now here's the best part of the story right here. After landing back and driving back to Wheeler, Taylor and Welch passed by their squadron commander, Major Gordon H. Austin, who noticed they were wearing their tuxedo attire. Unaware of the earlier dogfights, he said, "You need to get back to Halawa. Don't you know there's a war on?" And the two pilots explained what they had done. The commander thanked them. Taylor reflected on his actions and wasn't the least bit terrified, and let me tell you why. He said, "I was too stupid, too young to realize I was in a lot of danger." Well, I think you get the point. Americans rise to the challenge, and on this day we remember Pearl Harbor. Our veterans, we honor our veterans, and also remember we live in the greatest nation on the planet. May God bless you all for your efforts, and remember and honor our veterans. May this memorial stand as a testament to the dedication and the commitment of the warrior spirit of the American veteran in the defense of our nation. Thank you very much.